Welcome to Stonedead TV. The sun is out and I've managed to catch probably the busiest man on site over the weekend, I would say, Mr. Chris Sumby. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Mighty fine. Feeling a lot better than I was yesterday.
There's a lot more smiling going on this afternoon, I must say.
Yeah.
Well, where do we begin? Well, I have to say, going out there, and I think it's, this is a festival for the fans, run by fans. And out there today has just been a sea of smiling faces. That must give you a tremendous feeling of achievement.
Definitely. We've achieved a lot of great things with the team we've got. We've got a phenomenal team like Jenny there who's running the press, and that sort of gives us a positive public image. But the achievement from 2017 when this first started to where we're at now, 4 years in, if you could have told me that in after the first year this is where would be like a sold out festival, I would have said you were taking drugs, to be honest, and can I have some?
Because you really have had your face in the sails against the wind getting to today. There's been so many challenges, and most years are challenging for a festival organiser, but this year, because of obviously the things that have happened over the last 18 months, have been particularly challenging. And how have you adapted to those changes, and how have you adapted to the challenges that you faced as an organiser?
I think one of the benefits of what we do is because we're all volunteers, we do this as a hobby. Some people do scuba diving, some people play darts. We put on a rock festival, and because we've got day-to-day jobs in a normal working environment, we've been able to adapt the event around regular people. So we know how people have had to slog through COVID and sort of how they've had to adapt. We know how people's been scared and some of the fears, and so when we've been planning things over the last 18 months, we've looked at if we have to do social distancing or we've got to do sanitising and things like that, how can we make the show enjoyable still?
Yeah.
So as you've seen today, we've got screens dotted around the venue, so if people are a bit, I don't really want to be close to the stage, they can sit at the back, they can have a pie and mash, they can have a pint of beer and lots of space, and they can still see what's going on the stage. So we've took things like that and just added it to what we were already doing, what seemed to be working really, really well, just to make it that little bit more, I don't know, COVID friendly. COVID friendly. Yeah, so we've put lots of things in like that. Although we're kind of apparently out of the whole COVID isolation thing, we've still been really conscientious that it's still there. So we've had sanitizer, we've had screens up. Obviously the TV screens to encourage the social distancing. We've tried to sort of make people feel confident that when they come here they're not going to be encroached and they're going to have space. So yes, it's been very difficult, but because obviously I think as I said, the benefit of us being volunteers, and we've got day-to-day jobs in like different landscapes, and Jenny's a nurse, Neil works for his local authority, Lou's a taxi driver, I work in schools. So we'll see how people have coped and how they've adapted, and then we can bring that into meetings going, oh, well, such and such, I saw this today. At a school, I saw this today. We could do this because it would work for this and this. And it's just made things sort of so much probably easier because we can implement things which we've seen in our normal working lives. And it's just probably helped with the planning process, really. So we got there.
We got there in the end. And do you think that's that's really part of it's a festival from my perspective when I go out there and look at it. It seems like a group of people that are very connected to each other. There's been a series of conversations over the last 18 months on social media with Stonedead Festival, and it's always with the view to listen to what people have to say. How important is that for you guys to keep continually listening and this journey of continuous improvement year on year? Since I've been coming here since the beginning, and every single year there's that little step. Is that going to be your vision for the future for this festival?
We're going to try. It's getting harder to do because obviously the festival's growing in popularity and people know about it, so more people are buying tickets and they're firing questions in, and we'll try to answer them as best we can. It has been hard the last couple of months because we've had a lot of questions coming in, so we've tried to push people onto the website, which takes away the personable approach we've always tried to have. But when it's the same question coming at like 30 times, it gets a bit monotonous. But we don't want to lose the personal touch. I was at Bloodstock the other week, and I was talking to Adam Gregory, the guy who runs Bloodstock, and their slogan was fans by the fans. And we've said that at the start, and I was like, oh, that's what Bloodstock. So I was like, for fans by the fans, because we're all fans.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Bloodstock are. You know, there were fans doing it for the fans. And that's what we're trying to do. I mean, we're still fans. I would buy a ticket for this. I would love to buy a ticket for this. I'd probably enjoy it a whole lot more if I bought a ticket. So what we don't want to sort of move away from is that personable approach. But because we are getting to a point where it's not hundreds of people buying tickets, it's thousands of people buying tickets, we're going to have to maybe sort of like just rejigging what we do and, you know, trying to sort of like focus on the main questions and the main problems and point people away. We've already covered this, and this was the answer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've always had complaints about the toilets. You know, and that stresses me out more than anything else. It really does. It's when people say, "Oh, the toilets are naff," and it's like, but they cost X amount of pounds. So, since 2019, that was been my biggest bugbear. We've had a spreadsheet just for toilet deployment. Wow. And it's yeah. So I'm sitting there going, so we'll have 5 here, 5 here, 5 here. Neil, can we do this? And she's like, yeah, I agree with that. You agree with that? So we're basically just like, if there's a space, there's a toilet, and yeah. So the bands of second fiddle to the toilets this year.
Well, one thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the volunteers, because they are the lifeblood, as you all are, of this festival, but those in particular. And I remember my first experience of walking in here, and as the customer experience, as it were, from going from the gate to the stage. Every single person in a yellow high vis is a fan of the music, and that is part of the magic, I think, of this festival. Do you not agree?
Totally makes all the difference, because when you go to some of the bigger events where they're having to hire in staff who've got no interest in the music and they're not fans. So, for instance, you know, you can go to Glastonbury and you've probably got people there who have got no interest. They're just there for the pay packet.
It's a function.
Yeah. Here, the fans are doing it because the fans and they care, and they want to make sure that the fans who are coming have the best experience. And Dowie, who looks after the fans, the volunteers, we call them staff, you know, he goes through them all every year to try and get the best available people into the best jobs. And we'll try and look after them as best as possible. You know, we'll feed them, we'll give them beverages. They get a nice little fan pack with an exclusive T-shirt just for the vols. They get laminates and posters, which nobody else is going to get. So, yeah, they are giving up time and they are sacrificing quite a bit, but hopefully they'll take away a lot of memories, and they've got some souvenirs which nobody else is going to get. So if we see these things on eBay, like the staff T-shirts, and say, oh, who's selling that? Because there'll be people who collect stuff and they'll be like, oh, I'll give you 500 quid for that.
So if we could sum up the one thing, if you could find one thing about this festival that makes you get up in the morning and want to do this, what would that be?
We're living the dream. It's an eternal nightmare. But from being a 14-year-old going to Monsters of Rock in 1992, that little 14-year-old's just sort of like banging on the outside to keep on doing it. And there's days I do wake up, and Jenny will know, because we do sort of have disagreements, and we do get times where we are quite deflated because things aren't quite clicking into place, and we just think. And then there's the rest of the time it's just, we're living the dream here. We're doing our own festival, you know, and then you get so many people on our social media and emails, and you go to gigs. At Bloodstock the other week, there was loads of Stonedead T-shirts. That absolutely blew my mind. It's as if like you're a rock star and you're seeing your own fans walking around, and you could spot them from a mile off as well. I was like, oh, that's one of our T-shirts. There's one of our T-shirts. So I don't think there's a single thing which can sort of, you know, I can think of which would encompass the whole thing of Stonedead. It's lots of little things which build this almighty structure, and it's getting bigger and bigger every year. But the support's getting bigger and bigger every year, and that's as long as that's there, and the people who want us to do it will do it, because that's why we're doing it at the minute, because we know if we stopped, they'd kick our heads in, you know. And I don't want to be stalked.
We've created a monster, and the monster needs to be fed. So.
Yes.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us today in your very busy schedule. I would highly recommend that you go and at least have a pint at some point and go and watch a band without being interrupted.
To be honest, I've got a plan for tomorrow night. I'm going to get home, I'm going to have a bubble bath. I've got a nice big bottle of matey bubble bath to enjoy all by myself, and I've got some panpipes on a Spotify playlist. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow night.
Panpipe moods with Chris Sumby. Keep that in your mind's eye, if you will. Thank you, Chris.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Cheers.